Are you aware of the recent GEPF formula change and the potentially devastating impact on your savings? Now, in this video, I'll reveal the shocking truth of how GEPF took away over 1.3 million rands in just 5 days from one member. But don't take my word for it. I will show you the member statement so that you can see the evidence for yourself. I'll also show you how you can determine whether money was taken away from you. Now, just to recap, on the 26th of October 2022, the GEPF announced a formula change which was effective from the 1st of November 2022, leaving you with just 5 days notice to react. Now, let's keep in mind there are over 1.2 million GEPF members. If just one member lost 1.3 million rand, how much was taken in total? Now, what's also suspicious about this is the timing of the formula change. Why did it happen at that time when the GEPF had reported that the fund value was at an all-time high, sitting over 2.3 trillion rands? Why was it not implemented during the market crash caused by COVID? Now, where's all this money going? And could this be a cover-up for poor investing decisions? As a GEPF member, you deserve to know the truth about the formula change and its impact on your future. Join me in this eye-opening video as we uncover the possible corruption within the GEPF and explore the steps you could take to protect your hard-earned retirement savings. Now, I want to start straight away by just comparing the member statement so that you can see the before and after, right? Here you can see this is the old rules, and notice the date on the statement is the date that the statement was requested is 31st of October 2022. Keep in mind, and I'll show you just now, the formula change became effective on the 1st of November. So this statement was requested basically a day before, right? It's calculating the members' benefits as at 31 December 2023. So, and notice I'll keep the dates to be consistent, right? As we scroll further down, have a look at the values in here. If you look at the members' resignation value, you'll see the resignation value in the old rules sits at 8.3 million, 8.3 million. Now let's have a look at the new rules. Notice on the new rules, it's the same date. It's still 31 December, so it's requested as at the same date, right, to keep the timing consistent, except it's printed via the service center on the 15th of November, which means it's after the formula change came about, right? You notice all the details are the same. And now when you scroll to the bottom, the resignation value has dropped, right? It went from 8.3 million down to 6.9 million. That's a difference of 1.3 million. What's also very interesting is that the retirement benefits has not changed. So notice GEPF has, for some reason, affected the resignation benefit, but not the retirement benefit. It is the same. So we'll calculate the difference between the two. You can pause the video as you go along, but I'll do the calculation for you. I'll bring up a calculator so that you can see exactly how much loss this member lost. And I'll tell you what you need to do in order to see how much could have been lost from in your case. Now, again, you can pause the video to go back or rewind a bit to ensure that you're getting the correct values, but I'm typing it in as from what I see on the member statement, 8.3 million rand minus the current value, right? Which means the value after the formula change. And this is that total. So 1,344,185 rand has disappeared in just 5 days for this member. Right? Now, in order for you to determine whether you've lost some money, I'll show you exactly what you need to do from a step perspective, but let's head over to the GEPF website because I want you to see that there was a notice that was sent out to you, and maybe you're aware of it and maybe you're not aware of it, right? So we're heading over onto their site under media, publications, press releases. Once you get to this section, you're heading to this part. Well, you will then pick up the information here, and we're looking for this section where they speak about the formula change, right? This is it here, the GEPF employees, government employees pension fund to implement revised actuarial factors. When you click on this and you start to read, right, you'd notice that the notice came on the 26th of October 2022, and it says it's going to be effective from the 1st of November, right? And this is revised actuarial factors, right? It gives a history about why they're making the change and not specific detail, but it just talks about the change. Now, what's suspicious about this is if you start to look just below that, right? It says the GEPF continues positive growth with a 9.6% growth year on year, right? It's a record market value high, 2.3 trillion rand. So if the fund value has gone to 2.3 trillion rand, why is there a need to change the formula, right? If the money has grown to an all-time high, why change this? Let's just go back a bit more and you can get all this information onto the site, right? Notice here, GEPF registers a 27.5% growth on market value, taking it to over 2 trillion rand. So you can see back-to-back GEPF, the fund value has grown significantly, which again begs the question, if this is what's happening with the fund value, shouldn't this money be belonging to you and the other members part of GEPF? Why should the value be reduced? Now, in addition to that, if you think that pensioners were not affected by this, you can start to have a look at what's transpired for pensioners here. This is the first one of this. And you notice on the 14th of March, a notice was sent out to pensioners, and it says that they would receive a 5.55% increase in their income, right? Now, if you look further down, it says inflation is sitting at 7.4%. So if inflation is sitting at 7.4%, why were these members given a 5.55% increase, right? Why were they giving less than inflation rate? Especially after the formula change had come about and members have lost a significant amount of money. Why is this still impacting those that opted to retire? Now let's go into the details. I head over to the iPad because I want to share with you what you can do in order to see whether the formula change has affected you or not, right? Now, we're at a time, obviously, post the formula change that you're watching this video. So the formula change became effective on 1 November, right? 2022. And you're watching this video post then. The way to see whether you've been affected is you want to go back to see if you have an old statement, right? Do you have a statement during this period before November 2022? Right? If you have a statement before November 22, you can then request a new statement now, right? So you can request a statement now. So all you are doing is you are comparing the old here against the new, right? And you're looking more specifically in terms of your resignation value. Now, if you cannot see this, maybe you can check with another member who has access to this and if they're open to sharing the information so that you can see the before and after, right? Once you get to do this, you can compare values and work the difference, right? You'll notice that chances are, if it's like the members who have engaged and asked for support, your new value is less than your old value. So all you would do is take the new value minus the old value to see how much has been taken away from you, right? Now, if you look at and you analyze this very carefully, the change has only applied for resignation, right? It has not applied for members wanting to retire, which means it might be perceived to you that those opting to retire, if you retire, your benefits are the same. But there is one key factor that I want to bring to your attention, right? The retirement value is not an accurate value. So if you go over to a statement, which we'll do just now, your resignation value, this is relatively current. And I'll say this because I'll put the asterisk because they call it estimated, right? But your retirement value, this figure, is calculated to a future value. See, this is calculated to future. I'll show you on a statement just now, but let's assume that you are, in my example, 55 years old. Your resignation value is current because it's assuming that you might resign at this moment in time, right? Whereas the retirement value is calculated to the future. It's calculated to age 60. Now, the trick here is you might be having a look at your resignation value and saying, this is the value that you have right now, and then comparing it to your retirement value and say, hey, you know what, it's better for you to retire because that's the value that you're going to get now. But in actual fact, if you are retiring at 55, what they would do is run a calculation to reduce your benefits, right? Because the retirement benefits have been very cleverly calculated to the future, right? It's projected to the future. Now let's go have a look at the fine print so that you're able to see this and confirm it for yourself, right? You can see here, I have in front of me the same member statement. And notice that the retirement benefits at the top here, it says normal retirement estimated. It's got a point number 12. If you look to the side of this, it then goes into some detail, right? Here's the fine print. It says normal retirement age is defined in terms of GEPFs. Rules as per age 60. It then says these benefit calculations are estimated to age 60, which means if you are not at 60, if you are younger than 60, this is a future value, right? It's calculated in advance. If you are older than 60, the benefits are still calculated to the future. It's calculated to 65, which means it's always calculated to a future value. It then goes on further to say, if you choose to retire before 65, whatever the benefits are, your estimated benefits reflected on the statements are going to be reduced. If you retire prior to normal retirement age, your benefits are reduced, right? So it's very cleverly done, because if you don't look at this fine print, you are going to assume that that is the value that you are going to collect, right? Now, it does seem like a bit of a push from GEPF to move members towards retiring and move them away from resigning, right? Now, what's the key that I want you to bear in mind here? Simple. This video is not about telling you that you should retire or resign. The entire YouTube channel that I have is designed to empower you with information so that you can make the most informed decision for yourself, whether it's retiring or resigning. It's just that there's a lot of doubt and insecurities around resignation, and I want to bring this to the fore, as well as make you aware of certain things that many members might not be aware of, like maybe you're not aware of some of the factors that we're discussing here. So one thing that you know is that if you are aiming at retiring, GEPF assures you that for the first 5 years, the money is going to be paid, right? So if you and your spouse, if you have a spouse, happen to pass away, you know that the income is guaranteed over a 5-year period. But I want you to start to analyze some of the details around this, right? So let's go and have a look at the monthly pension here. We're using this member statement, but again, you can do the calculation for yourself. It's 41,824, right? Now I want to calculate how much is this over a 5-year period. And I'll give you the picture that I want you to see, right? Let's head over to the iPad so that you can get this understanding very well, right? Remember, you would receive a monthly pension if you're aiming at retiring. And what I want to do is calculate what that income is, right? In this particular member statement, the income for this member was 41,824, right? That's the value for this particular member. Now I want to calculate that over a 12-month period, right? So what is that over a 1-year period? I'll show you shortly why we wanted to do this, right? But there's some money that's going to be missing, and we want to be mindful of that, and also start to analyze or ask questions where this is missing. So the total this member will receive is 501,888. Now we've worked the income over a 1-year period. I then want to multiply this by 5 years. And the reason I'm multiplying by 5 is your income is guaranteed over a 5-year period. If you, touch wood, and your spouse happen to close your eyes within the 5-year period, this is all you're short of, right? It's just 5 years, which means over this 5-year period, if this is your value, you are guaranteed of a payment of 2.5 million. I head back over to the iPad because I want you to see something important. So you are assured of an amount of 2.5 million, bearing in mind, I have not taken into account that this income will increase, right? As you've seen now, GEPF doesn't have to increase this by inflation. It could be less, could be 75% of inflation. So you can take into account that this is going to increase, which means this value will increase. But let's also bear in mind the money that you leave behind with GEPF is also going to be growing because it's going to be invested. Now, more importantly, I want you to take this figure. This is your guaranteed amount that you're going to receive, and we're going to compare it to a resignation value, right? To see what's happening with the difference. So we're heading back to the same member statement, right? We're looking still at the new rules. Now I've shown you that figure. I now want to start to look at the resignation value, and you can see the resignation value sits at 6,970,739. Now let's also bear in mind, aside from the monthly income, we have to add the gratuity, right? So I add in the gratuity, it's 1,853,659. I'm going to explain this to you shortly. So let's head back over to the iPad so that you can see. If you are aiming at retiring and you're earning this income over a 12-month period, the total you receive over 5 years, a guaranteed payment, 2.5 million, right? In addition to that, we can add what's there as a gratuity. So we can add these two figures together, and then we'll compare it against the resignation value. So I've got this figure in. I'm now adding the lump sum gratuity, which then gives me the total figure that you would get, right? Assuming this is your statement, or these are your values. Again, you can calculate for yourself, which means the total payout here over that period is 4,363,499. Now go and have a look at your resignation value, right? So if you have a look at what we see here, the resignation value for this particular member, as we've written it down, is 6.9 million. So just to recap, if you are aiming at retiring, you might have heard that GEPF is going to pay you all of your money over a 5-year period, right? But if you calculate this the way that I've done it now, you're going to see a different picture. Notice, I've taken the monthly income over a 12-month period. I've then multiplied by 5 years because 5 years is guaranteed, right? That's this total here. In addition to that, I'm adding the gratuity because that's the total amount you would receive if you're retiring. It gives you 4.3 million. If we compare that to the resignation value, even though in this case the resignation value has reduced, right, significantly, you can see there is a difference here from 6.9 million to 4.3 million. So the question is, where is this money going? So you can see here there seems to be a natural push for GEPF to move members towards retiring, but you want to analyze your figures so that you can compare both options carefully and decide which one is best for you, right? In addition to this, make sure you do the exercise that I shared with you of comparing your values to see whether you've actually had any change in your fund value, right, before or after the change. Now, comment below if you've had some change. You don't have to share exactly who you are or your details, but maybe you can post how much has been lost, right? What's actually taken place for you, an estimate, and also share this video amongst other members so that they're empowered and can start to do the calculations for themselves. If you found the video helpful, I encourage you to click the thumbs up sign so that I know it's been beneficial to you. And also remember to subscribe to the channel so that I'm able to produce more of these helpful videos for you. I'll see you on the next video.